cold outside, but the fire keeps us warm. We can spend the night underneath the mistletoe.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, my name's Alexa Ray. And welcome to another video. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you clicked on today's video. And you guys already know what we are doing in today's video. I am so freaking excited. I've been getting so many requests, so many messages to do this video, and I really just wanted to make sure I had my stuff in check. You know, I wanted to make sure I had all my books in check. I wanted to make sure I knew exactly which books were my all-time favorite 5-star reads to share with you guys today. As readers, when it comes to reading, I feel like we all have very similar problems. What I find for myself personally is that when I finish a book, when I'm doing reading vlogs, I'll immediately rate those books like 5-star reads, even though they're not exactly 5-star reads. And after time of thinking about those books, reevaluating what happened in those books, what I liked, what I didn't like, I find that most of the books that I rate 5 stars on my channel aren't actually my 5-star reads. They're not my all-time favorite books. So I want to make sure I took the time to actually go back and reflect on all the books I've read and really rate them true to me and what I really liked and what I didn't like. And I wanted to make sure that I was sharing with you guys my real, authentic 5-star reads, because I say this a lot on my channel. I usually love every single book I read. I typically don't find a book that I don't actually like reading. So that's typically why I tend to rate books higher when it comes to filming videos and stuff like that. Because again, I usually just like love every single book I read. I tend to rate them very, very high. So I really want to take my time when creating this video. I really want to be real and authentic with you guys and share with you my favorite books of all time. I really think I did it. I think I did good with it. These are definitely set in stone 5-star reads for me. They're books that I recommend to everyone. They're books that I could definitely reread over and over again. They're my favorite characters, my favorite tropes, my favorite storylines. They're books that I could literally retell without having to look at them again, and I think that's how I know that they're 5-star reads for me. I enjoyed them so much that they're literally like engraved in my mind now. My favorite tropes, they're just everything to me, and I'm obsessed with them, and I'll never stop talking about them. And yeah, that's basically how I went through and picked my 5-star reads. I actually have 8 books in total that are rated 5 stars for me. These are definitely they're like my babies. I really love these books. They're very important to me, and they are, again, engraved in my mind. I just want to take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's video, which is Aardvark Book Club. I am so excited to be working with them. They are a brand new book subscription box. They just launched this past October, and guys, I am absolutely freaking obsessed with them. And I know you guys are gonna love them just as much as I do. They are an affordable book box subscription starting at just $17.99 a month USD, $25.99 a month Canadian, and that gets you 1 brand new hardcover book of your choice shipped to you every month in this cute little box. How it works is every month Aardvark announces 4 to 5 books for members to choose from, and you're allowed to pick up to 3 books. They also have this cutie little Instagram page that you can follow, and you can actually get hints on what the next picks are gonna be. What I love about Aardvark is that it really helps me get out of my comfort zone when it comes to reading. They offer such a huge selection of genres, from contemporary fiction to romance, thriller, mystery, and just so much more. They do ship to the US and Canada. Did I mention shipping is free? They always send out these cutie little bookmarks for you. They ask you how you would rewrite the ending to the book you're reading, and another feature that I'm absolutely obsessed with when it comes to Aardvark, they actually have a free app on the App Store that you can download. It's where you can manage your subscription box, pick out your books for the next month. You can take part in community discussions with other members and talk about books that you guys are reading. They also send out these postcards with every box, and it kind of gives you a little mini description and hint into what every book is. So with that being said, I'm going to show you guys the 3 books I picked out for the month of November. I am so excited about these books. The first book I picked out is Closer to Okay. You guys know I am all about mental health over here and taking care of yourself. This book just seems like such a sweet and heartwarming read, so I'm super excited to give this a try. I picked out The Other Side of Night, which is a psychological thriller. You guys know I'm trying to branch out, get into different genres when it comes to reading, and I think mystery and thrillers is like a super cool genre, so I'm trying to get into that. And then the last book I picked out is Gilded Mountain. This is actually a historical fiction book, which I think is going to be super fun to read. It takes place in the Rocky Mountains. It is super easy to join Aardvark Book Club too. It takes literally like 5 minutes. You can sign up for a membership by downloading the app and making your first purchase. Thank you so much again to Aardvark Book Club for sponsoring today's video. We're just going to start off with a book that I'm sure everyone on my channel has probably already predicted would be in this video and already knows that it is a 5-star read for me. We have Archer's Voice by Sheridan. Sheridan. If you've been around for a hot minute, you've definitely heard me talk about this book because it is a book that I literally recommend to everybody. This is a book I recommend to everyone in my life, everyone on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. It is a book that I just talk about nonstop. I literally buy this book for like everyone in my life for like their birthday or like holiday because it is just like my all-time favorite romance book. It's actually still my favorite book of 2022. We'll see what happens when I do my yearly wrap up at the end of December, but as of right now, this is still my favorite read of 2022. It's just such a heartfelt romance. I'm obsessed with this. This is one of the best books I have ever read in my entire life. Something I always say to people who are interested in reading this is if you really enjoy Colleen Hoover reads, if you enjoy her writing style, then you will absolutely love Archer's Voice because it's a very similar writing style, but there's just so much more to the characters, to the storyline, to the plot. Like there's just so much more to this compared to Colleen Hoover books. Colleen Hoover books are typically like super short, fast-paced books, but this is just, there's so much to this, and this story is one of the most beautiful stories I have ever read. It is also ranked one of the top 100 romance novels on Goodreads, which I feel like is such a good sign already to read this book. This tells a story of two broken people who find each other in really hard times. They come together, they fall in love, and their love for one another like heals them and heals all the crazy and horrible things that have happened to them in their past. It is not at all what I expected when going into this. I was just absolutely blown away with this book. The love that Bree and Archer have for each other is just so pure and beautiful. It's a love that I honestly haven't seen too much in other romance novels I've read, and I think that's why I love this so much. For the trope, I would definitely say this is a grumpy meets sunshine. And honestly, I would even say like it's a little hint of love at first sight. That's just my opinion after reading this. Archer's Voice, literally my favorite book of all time. I talk about it nonstop everywhere, so my one hope is when you see this book, you think of me. Next up, we have The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I feel like this one might be a little bit of a shocker to some people, but I actually read this book in the beginning of this year, like March, and when I read this, wow, everything about this book I was just immediately obsessed with. This tells a story of Evelyn Hugo and her 7 husbands, and basically her goal is to become a big-time Hollywood actress and go through the different times with her, seeing her go through these different roles, meeting different men, and basically her rise to stardom in retro Hollywood. Everything about this book was incredible. Something I really love about Taylor Jenkins Reid and her writing style is she really makes you feel like you're in that time period. I really felt like I was living through the 50s, 60s, 70s alongside Evelyn Hugo as she was trying to make her way to the top in Hollywood. We see her go through so many different loves, so many different hardships. You see her overcome like so many different things as a woman. It's so powerful. I don't know. I just really freaking love this book. I also loved like the whole romance concept in this book because she does have 7 husbands, hence the title, but the major romance in between it all is just so beautiful, and it's definitely a book that tugs at your heartstrings, but it's just a really moving and powerful book. This whole story is also told mainly from Evelyn Hugo's point of view. We go through the different time periods with her, but the whole main idea and concept of this book is she's actually being interviewed by a girl named Monique for a huge People magazine. Evelyn Hugo is finally telling her life story after so many years of staying silent. She specifically requested Monique Grant to write this article on her, and everyone's like, why does she want Monique Grant to write this article? Because Monique Grant isn't like a big time writer or anything. Eventually everything comes together, and it's insane, it's beautiful, it's sad, and honestly it's just absolutely perfect. Next up, I have Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. First of all, this is probably one of my all-time favorite book covers. I love the baby pink cover, and I love all the cute little pictures that correlate with the story itself. It's just so freaking cute. I'm obsessed with it. It's aesthetic, and it's just literally everything. If I was a book cover, I'd like to think that I would be this book cover. I feel like this is a very popular book for so many people. So many people love this book. I think so many people rate this book 5 stars. It's just a really really great book. It's a friends to lovers trope. It's a second chance trope. And I personally picked it as a 5-star read because the friends to lovers trope and the second chance trope, it's not my favorite trope when it comes to reading romance. And when I read this book, my whole mindset changed on that. I absolutely fell in love with the trope, and I was like, okay, I feel like that's a sign if this book can change my mind on the friends to lovers trope. This basically tells the story of a girl named Macy and Elliot, and they grow up together, bonding over their love for books, reading. Their cabins are next door to each other. They are each other's like first major loves, and something tragic and crazy happens one night, and it causes Macy not to talk to Elliot. I want to say about a decade she remains silent and doesn't talk to him until she randomly runs into him at a coffee shop with her friend. At that point in their lives, Elliot is in a relationship with another girl, Macy is engaged to another man, and they basically just have their lives like already set, planned out, and ready to go. That one encounter kind of throws a wrench into everything, and they rekindle their relationship, and Elliot just tries to figure out why she ignored him and ghosted him for a decade. So this book is another super big like heart tear-jerker type of romance, but I absolutely freaking loved it. The plot twist at the end was just literally insane. I literally sobbed reading this book. I think that's another reason why I know it's like a 5-star read for me, because it actually pulled emotions out of me. I feel like that's really rare when it comes to reading. This is a very cozy, feel-good type of book. I would definitely recommend it as like a holiday read, because there are like little holiday scenes in here that just give me like the festive and cozy vibes that you need for the holidays. But I read this during the summertime, and it was just as amazing because Macy spends so much time at the cabin during the summer. I don't know, just makes me so happy. I turned on some lights because it got dark really quick, and it's literally only 4:30, maybe 5, and it's dark out. I totally forget sometimes how fast it gets dark out once winter hits, and it's super sad. We are gonna keep on going. My next 5-star read is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. If you've been around on my channel for a while, you're not surprised about this one, because this is another book that I literally talk about all the freaking time. It is a book that I am absolutely obsessed with. This is actually a part of a 3-book series, a 3-book trilogy. This is book 1. Book 2 is The Hawthorne Legacy. Book 3 just came out like a few months ago. It's The Final Gambit. Honestly, the first book is the only 5-star read out of the series for me. Book 2 was good. It was okay. I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's a 5-star read, and book 3 definitely was not a 5-star read for me. I feel like that happens so often though, where book 1 in a series is so good, and then like the rest of the books don't match up to how good book 1 was. I absolutely freaking love this book. It tells the story of a girl named Avery, and she virtually inherits billions of dollars from Tobias Hawthorne. He's a multi-billionaire who literally passes down everything to this random girl instead of giving everything to his own blood family. So the whole book kind of revolves around the family trying to figure out why he chose Avery and why he gave everything to Avery and not them, which that alone is such a crazy thing to unpack. There's so much to it. There's riddles and puzzles. It's a dark academia vibe. There's a minor love triangle romance in this between Avery and the 2 grandsons. The riddles and puzzles in this alone is just so fun and captivating. I think I love Grayson so much because in book 1, him and Avery start out as kind of like an enemies to lovers, and they slowly grow into each other. But also the grumpy meets sunshine trope. Everything I love most when it comes to reading romance is like wrapped up into Grayson. That's why I've always been team Grayson. Jameson is like the bubbly, upbeat grandson, and I do really love his character, but I'll always just be like team Grayson. You really get to know all the characters in this story so well. Like, I love Avery's older sister Libby. She's so sweet. I also really love the oldest grandson Nash. Him and Libby, they just have like this crazy chemistry in the book that I'm just obsessed with. I love it so much. I would definitely say this is more of a YA mystery read opposed to like a YA romance, because the romance in this book isn't like a super heavy romance at all. It just kind of like peeps through every now and then. That's another reason why I rated this 5 stars though, because I am a very heavy romance reader on my channel, and for this to be a mystery and for me to just be so obsessed with it, in love with it, I love the characters, the storyline. I just felt like that alone was like 5 stars for me. Also, I am obsessed with the covers of these books. They are absolutely gorgeous. This is definitely one of my go-to books to recommend to people who don't want like a romance rec, because again, the romance isn't heavy in this. It's mainly like a mystery book, and it's so freaking good. The chapters are also super short in this book, which I really like. It made it more of like a fast-paced type of read, and I literally finished this in one sitting. I could not put it down. Again, for being a mystery read and for me to be so like heavily involved in the characters and invested in every inch of this, I was just like, this is definitely a 5-star read for me. We have 4 more books left to talk about, and these are definitely, they're debatable and questionable, probably for you guys. For me, these are 5-star reads. They are just like books I absolutely freaking love this year that I'm just still not over reading. I feel like I'm probably the small percentage of people who would rank these 5 stars. I feel like a lot of people rank these like 3 to 4 stars, but never like 5 stars. They're just not like books I see people talking about that often, and they're not books that I see people being like mind blown by, opposed to me who absolutely freaking love them and is still obsessing over them. Just want to put that disclaimer out there that I am obsessed with these books, and I find that most people like aren't, but I still wanted to share them with you because they are a part of my 5-star reads. We have The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This is another book I read earlier in the year and immediately just like fell in love head over heels for this book. It is just everything I love wrapped into one. This is a fake dating trope. This is a grumpy meets sunshine trope. I would kind of say there's like a minor, very minor enemies to lovers in here. This is a school type of romance. This is a student falling in love with a professor. It is a PhD student falling in love with a professor from a different department. There's also a little hint of Star Wars references in here, which I thought was so freaking adorable and cute. The main male character in this, his name is Adam Carlson. He's based off of Adam Driver from the Star Wars series. That was just like really cool to like connect the dots when reading. The whole premise of this book is Olive is very invested in her studies and work in her life, and her friend really thinks that she needs to get out there, you know, kind of like experience new things. To get her friend off her back, Olive tries to convince her that she is dating someone, that she has a boyfriend. Randomly one day, Olive is kind of caught in the act that she doesn't actually have a boyfriend by her friend. It was a spur of a moment type of thing. Olive just kisses the closest guy to her to kind of like fool her friend that she is dating someone. So she kisses a random stranger in the hall. It turns out to be Professor Adam Carlson. And basically what happens, they come up with this fake dating arrangement. I really just loved the romance between Olive and Adam in this. Adam is just constantly surprising Olive throughout the entire story. He's such a grumpy type of person, but over and over again, he surprises us and does the sweetest, most caring things for Olive. He's very protective over Olive. There's just so many little moments throughout this book that just like had me on my heels. I was absolutely obsessed. Adam Carlson is probably one of my top book boyfriends of all time. He's just so sweet and caring. This is definitely a 5-star read for me. It has always been a 5-star read for me. I never see like too many people talk about this book, and I don't know if it's because they don't like the book or they just didn't think it was like that great of a book, but I personally really enjoyed the book, especially all the little Star Wars references in this book, which is so funny and cute. She just came out with a new book. It's Love on the Brain. That came out I believe in like August or September. I haven't read that one yet. It's on my TBR, but I hear it's another like grumpy meets sunshine, enemies to lovers type of trope, and I think Ali Hazelwood writes those tropes really well, so I'm excited. Next up we have The Deal by Elle Kennedy. This is book 1 in the Off-Campus series. This is a 5-star read for me because 1, it's a fake dating trope, of course. It's an enemies to lovers trope. It's a hockey romance. I'm super into like hockey romances. It's just like one of my favorite things to read about. Garrett Graham is another one of my favorite book boyfriends, and what happens in this book is Garrett Graham's is like failing a class or something, and in order to stay on the hockey team to play hockey at his school, he has to be passing all his classes. So he asks a girl in his class, Hannah Wells, to tutor him because she's passing the class with amazing grades. They come up with this agreement that if she tutors him, he will fake date her so she can get the guy she really likes. So that's like the whole premise of this story. We watch them get closer to each other and like learn so many little things about each other. It's another story where both characters come from like super troubled pasts, and when they come together, their love like heals them from their troubled past. They help each other get through these hard times and overcome these obstacles they both face. There's also so many like little funny moments in this book because this is part of a whole series and it revolves around 4 hockey players and 4 girls. And in this book, we actually get to meet like the other 3 hockey players, and they are just they're so silly, so funny. We have the enemies to lovers, fake dating, romance. We also have some like heavy things that happen in this book that tug at your heartstrings, but then you also have like the little humorous comedy side of it, which I really enjoyed. These last 2 books are definitely going to be the most, I feel like, controversial ones. I see so many like bad things about both these books, and I just really loved these books and I couldn't help myself. They are definitely 5-star reads for me. I'm gonna start with the one that I think people will probably dislike most, and I don't think people will dislike the book as much as the author. So my next 5-star read is Hopeless by Colleen Hoover. If you've been around for a hot minute, you guys know I do really like Colleen Hoover on my channel. She's a very popular author on my channel. I just really enjoy her writing style, her characters. Her books are super fast paced and her stories are just they're really captivating. Her stories just keep you so like interested in them. Like you get so invested in these characters, you have to finish them because you have to know what happens. Colleen Hoover writes some of the craziest stories I have ever freaking read. Hopeless by Colleen Hoover is a 5-star read for me. I surprisingly do not see too many people talk about this book. I think it is a very underrated, underhyped book by her. It's such a good book, and a lot of people talk about how they don't like the characters Colleen Hoover writes. They think her characters are very toxic, boring, bland, they're not realistic. In this book, I have to say, I love the characters in this book. I love the storyline in this book. The one thing I don't like about it is this book cover. If you know me, I do not like real people on book covers. It really irks me. Hopeless by Colleen Hoover tells the story of a girl named Sky and a boy named Dean Holder. Sky's been homeschooled her entire life until her senior year. Her mom finally lets her go to a public school for her senior year to spend it with her best friend. During that time, she meets a boy named Dean Holder. They start hanging out, growing closer, just randomly running into each other, honestly. It is probably one of the craziest storylines I've ever read, but it's probably one of the best ones I've ever read. Dean Holder is such a caring, loving, protective type of boyfriend. He is one of my favorite book boyfriends. I absolutely freaking love him. Again, I feel like when people read Colleen Hoover books, they don't typically like the characters. They find them very toxic and bland. That is just not the case with this book. I absolutely love Dean. I absolutely love Sky. The tragedy that takes place in this whole story is just mind-blowing. You do not see it coming. This is also part of a series. Book 2 is Losing Hope, that's told from Dean's perspective. Book 3 is a novella. It's called Finding Cinderella, and I'm pretty sure that revolves around Sky's best friend and a boy she meets. From there, the series branches off into All Your Perfects, which I read earlier this year, so kind of read the books a little out of order. I would probably read All Your Perfects again just to better understand everything. And then after All Your Perfects is Finding Perfect, which is another like little novella, and that's like the whole book series. I would really like to keep like reading them and like read them in order to see what happens, but Hopeless is a 5-star read for me. It is my all-time favorite coho book. It is a book I recommend to everyone because again, it's not like your typical Colleen Hoover read. So I know like a lot of people don't like Colleen Hoover and a lot of her books, but this is so different compared to her other books for me, and that's why I absolutely loved it. The last book I have to share with you in my 5-star read is none other than Twisted Lies by Anna Hong. This is book 4 in the Twisted series. This book, literally, I read this in the month of September, and this book literally just changed everything for me, okay? So this is book 4. It's also the last book in the Twisted series. Book 1 is Twisted Love. Book 2 is Twisted Games. Book 3 is Twisted Hate, and then we are on to Twisted Lies. Everyone always asks me if they have to read the books in order. I personally recommend that you do read them in order. You should start with Twisted Love and just go through them because the books do connect to one another. They basically revolve around a friend group of these 4 girls, and each girl finds love in each book, and you kind of get to see glimpses into each girl's relationship and like what's going on throughout every book, which is really cool. I think this book does really well with like wrapping up the whole series and the characters and stuff like that. Definitely recommend reading the books in order because again, they all connect, they all correlate to one another. Twisted Lies tells the story of Stella and Christian. Stella is basically like an influencer, and Christian Harper owns Harper Security. He's like a multi-billionaire. This is a fake dating trope. Stella actually winds up renting an apartment in Christian Harper's apartment building, and that's kind of how they officially meet. And Stella is currently trying to hit a huge milestone on her platform. She's trying to hit 1 million followers, and for some reason she just like can't hit it. She can't like overcome that milestone. So she comes up with the idea of maybe getting a fake boyfriend, even though she does not have time to like be dating or anything. So her and Christian come up with this agreement to fake date to basically grow her profile to 1 million followers, which sounds crazy, I know, but it's just such a cool and like insane storyline because she also has like an internet stalker and stuff. Just watching her try to navigate everything with her family and her friends and the internet, the stalker, it's just so wild. I do love that it's a fake dating trope. I love that it's a billionaire trope. I do really enjoy like the hero trope. Christian does play like hero throughout the book, and I love reading stuff like that. It's very caring, very loving, very overprotective of Stella. He literally like drops everything in an instant just to like be with her and help her no matter what. Definitely one of those no one else matters in the world but you type of stories. The Twisted series is definitely a twisted type of series, so with that being said, I would definitely say it's a darker type of romance read. A lot of like weird and dark things happen in this book and throughout the whole series, honestly. There are also dual perspective reads, so you read from both people's perspective. In this one, we get to see the perspective of Stella and Christian, which is really cool. Again, I love reading stuff like that because I just feel like you really get to know the characters more and understand them more, understand the story more. It's usually just like a better read in my opinion. These are all the books I've read that I definitely would say are 5-star reads for me. They are my favorite books. They are books that are just like ingrained in my brain forever. I love everything about them. The storylines, the characters, the tropes, the plot twist, everything about these books are just so good to me, and I think each of these books have shaped me in one way or another when it comes to reading. Very thankful for these books. I absolutely love these books. I recommend these books to everybody. Make sure to comment down below if you've read any of these books before, if you like them, if you dislike them. Let me know if you saw any of your own 5-star reads in this video, and also let me know what books are on your 5-star read list. I think the only ones that aren't book recs are probably Hopeless and Archer's Voice. The rest of these I'm pretty sure were recommended to me by you guys over here on my channel. So as always, thank you so much for recommending me all these amazing reads that have literally changed my life. Honestly, they've changed my life in one way or another. So thank you so much for that, and of course, with that being said, don't forget to leave me more book recs down below. I haven't asked you guys for book recs in a hot minute. I need some new book recs from you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today and clicking on the video. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up because it really helps me out. And then of course, don't forget to subscribe down below if you'd like to see more of me. With all that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in my next video.